Happy holidays from the Contrarians, and we have a great topic tonight. The topic, top 10 albums from the 70s. We have a large panel. We have a lot to get through, but it's well worth your while. All right, here we go. Top 10 albums. Let's do it. Welcome to the Contrarians, and tonight our topic is our top 10 albums of the 70s. Now we have a big panel here, and we'll go fast. Well, we'll try. You know how we are in the Contrarians, but we have a big panel here tonight, and we are going to accomplish this in an hour, probably, maybe. All right. Alex is here. We've got Uncle Meat, David. We've got Keith. We've got the Elder of Rock, and of course we've got the Parish of Rock, ladies and gentlemen. The two rocks cancel each other out, so really we don't have a big panel at all. Anyway, so I guess we'll get started. I'm thinking let's just do, I guess 3, 3, and 4. Is that good with everybody? All right, cool. All right, I'm going to start with Alex. We're going to go over to Meat, then David, then Keith, then the Elder, and then the Parish. We're going to go around like that. All right, Alex, give me your first 3.
First, let me say this was incredibly difficult. I think my first 5 or 6 came into place, and then 7 through 10, I had about 20 selections, and I kept rotating. I finally said, I'm driving myself crazy, so I'm going to stop. But I will say, this does not include Bruce Springsteen. There's no Tall. There's no Eagles. There's no Stones. Yes, Zappa, Deep Purple, James Brown, Stevie Wonder. These are people I left off my list. That's how serious this was. So let's start with number 10. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show some of my goods, and you'll see as I get towards number 1, I have more copies of those because that's how much I love them. So
all right, cool.
Number 10, David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust. So that's my deluxe 2 CD set. There's the movie. And this is pretty cool. This came out for Regular Store Day. That's early version of Ziggy Stardust with some tracks that did not make it onto the final album. So
very nice. Very nice.
Anyway, so this is 1972, his 5th album. And I will say I'm not a huge Bowie fan, but this period, Ziggy, Diamond Dogs, Aladdin Sane, I love. Stuff before it's okay. And then after it, I just sort of, not my thing. But I think this is incredible. Concept album, a rock opera, whatever you want to call it. I think it's the pinnacle of glam rock. The Library of Congress actually put this into the registry in 2017, so it shows you how important it is. It has blues, it has rock, it has jazz, it has punk, it has everything on it. Enough said on that. It's an amazing record. Number 9, Doors, LA Woman. My favorite Doors album. Also have the double disc sessions, which are just alternate versions. And then, of course, I had to buy the 4 LP box set, even more versions and studio banter and Jim Morrison stumbling over guitar chords and everything else. But I want to hear every single bit of music from this album. So this is their 6th album. To me, their final album. I know they did stuff without Jim, but I'm certainly not going to count that. And they did a little switch up here. Bruce Botnick came in, going from engineer to producer, and I think it was the right thing at the right time. They also did this in their rehearsal studio. So it's the band on firing on all cylinders. It's tight, it's blues, it's psych, it's jazz rock. To me, it's just a magical record. I never get tired of listening to that album. And then, on number 8, Black Sabbath, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. This is my favorite Sabbath album. I could take any of the 5. I mean, the first 5, they're all brilliant. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath is my favorite track by them, so that's why I picked this. So this is 1973. This is their 5th album, and I like it because it is a little proggy. They bring in synths, they bring Mellotron. Wakeman plays on this, right? So you get a little bit of different flavor there. Incredible album cover, Drew Struzan art. I just think the whole package together is, to me, the pinnacle of Black Sabbath. So that's my top 3, or first 3.
All right, cool. What a way to start out. Excellent work, Alex. I appreciate it. All right, let's throw it over to the Meat Man, Uncle Meat. What's your
Hello,
first
everyone.
three?
Hello,
Nice
everyone.
to
Yeah,
see you.
and this really was a very hard task. I mean, my honorable mentions list is like reads like the best albums of all time. So it's just it's just the way it goes. So number 10. Again, this was the hardest one to pick because I didn't know what to do. But then I listened to it again. Actually, it's the only one that I listened to for this procedure. And in 1973, Mr. Herbie Hancock put
Oh,
out Headhunters.
oh.
And to me, that is, again, this list is my favorite of the 70s.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I'd say that that the song Watermelon Man might be in my top 20 songs of all time. That's how much I love that song so much. And the rest of the album is just great. It's just absolutely, I mean, it's everything. It's jazz fusion, funk, it's straight on jazz. It's new age before there was a term. Really, it has everything. It's just a great album. Number 10,
All right.
Headhunters by Herbie Hancock. Number 9, Have No Fear, There Is Some Tall Here, from what you said. 1977, my favorite Tall album, Songs from the Wood. Songs from the Wood is a classic of Tall. I love every song in the album. So many great tracks. It it's weird. It's kind of bookended by these opuses that they did, but this was just like a straight ahead, great songs back to back. Just a great album. So Songs from the Wood, Jethro Tull is my number 9. My number 8 is something that is special to me. In 1977, 78, I went and saw Star Wars. And I remember that I went and saw it with my grandfather. And when I came back, I said to my dad, "Hey, this Darth Vader guy was on the album cover that you always have out." I was very young, and it wasn't Darth Vader. It was Wishbone Ash Argus. And if you can remember the cover of that album,
Yeah.
it kind of looks like Darth Vader from behind. So I've been hearing that album since I was a kid, and I will always love it. Thin Lizzy, Iron Maiden, they owe a lot to Wishbone Ash and what they do with twin lead guitar. It's just a classic. So my number 8 is Wishbone Ash Argus.
Damn it, Meat. I thought you were going to mention the Miko album, but you didn't mention
No.
Miko.
I thought he was going to say the Star Wars
Sorry,
soundtrack or something.
Yeah, maybe. That's where I thought we were going.
I think it had. I thought the
truly,
Star Wars soundtrack had him on there somewhere. Maybe not. I had it. It's been a long time since I looked at it.
Damn it, that Miko album
true.
needs
You
to
see
get
the
more
album cover.
praise. What's that?
Yeah, but it's true. That album cover, it does kind of look like Darth Vader.
It does.
Yeah, but I guess it's some sort of actual, like a classic helmet that was worn by people in the old days. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what the kids were wearing
Samurai.
back in the old days. All
Well,
right,
George
cool.
Lucas said he was influenced
Mhm.
by, I think, samurai helmets or something when he was making some of those costumes.
All right, could be. All right, thank you, Uncle Mead. All right, let's go over to David. David, nice to see you. What are your 3 picks?
Yeah, I echo what everyone else said. This was kind of a tough task for me. I mean, I didn't want to overthink it, so I think I just went with the 10 albums I listened to the most, probably. And those would be my favorites. So my number 10 is Rush 2112. I mean, that was the album that got me into the band as a teenager. One of my goals when I first started playing guitar was to learn the first side of the album, and I almost got there all the way. But yeah, I just love Alex's playing on this album is phenomenal. I love what Neil's writing, the whole concept of the album. That was kind of like the album that really got me obsessed with Rush when I was younger. So, and when I got to see them, for the one time I did get to see Rush with Neil on the R30 tour, they played like almost the whole first side of it, and it was amazing. So, And I still, I don't know if I usually go back between this and Permanent Waves is my favorite Rush album, but I think today 2112 is still the one I go back to the most. So yeah, that's my number 10.
Awesome.
And then, yeah, my number 9 is Bruce Springsteen, Dark on the Edge of Town. I think that's probably I think it's his best album in my opinion. I mean, I remember they put a documentary out like maybe 15 years ago about how much he put the band through the ringer just to make the album. He's a notable perfectionist. He just put everything into those songs. Like, I think Badlands just might be his best opener of any of his albums. It just kicks off the album in such a uplifting way. I mean, he's got songs like Streets of Fire, The Promised Land, Prove It All Night, the title track, Dark Standard Town. And they just, Clarence's sax on the album is great. You can tell the band was really just firing on all cylinders with the energy level. And then my number 8 is Van Morrison, Moondance. I love that album. The whole album all the way through is great, but side one especially and it stoned me crazy love of the title track Moondance. Into the Mystic is one of my favorite songs of all time. I just think he was like at his peak vocally on that album. It's an album I can never get tired of. It's just one of those albums you can put on and listen all the way through. Yeah, it's one of my favorite albums of all time, not let alone just for the 70s. But yeah, those are my first 3.
All right, cool. Awesome. God darn. Van Morrison, gotta love it. All right, Keith, you're up. What's your 3?
Okay, so again, a really difficult task. When I first started doing this, I'm just randomly off the top of my head coming up with 10 albums a year, 10 albums over a decade.
Yeah.
So I was trying to figure out how I could do this and be fairly happy with this list. So I thought about where I was at during that decade, and we started out pretty young. I think most most of us, and so I thought about where not just music but rock music really came into my world, and that really was about 1975. I was always a musical kid, always had the radio, happy-go-lucky, whatever was on the AM top 40 at the time. But 1975 was when the idea of pulling a band to be your own and really getting into the whole thing and buying all the albums and so on and so forth. So my list pretty much it isn't in a favorites in any way, but it is kind of chronological because I just went through year by year and came up with I came up with a lot more than 10. Hopefully we'll have time for some honorables, but I cobbled together 10 of these babies that are pretty damn important to me, and I still hold them in pretty high regard. So let me throw them up here. And I'll start out with the first one is came out in 1974, didn't hit my radar until 1975, and that's the first Kiss record, because I went to school and it was music day, and one of my classmates had brought that to school, and I heard the first opening drum intro and power chords, and life was forever changed. Pretty typical for a lot of us in that era. It was a little early though. The whole Kitty Kiss was still a few years to come, so I feel like I got in on the ground floor. My second album, I'm going to go with kind of somewhat adjacent to that. They were always being pitted against each other by the critics and so on and so forth. This one came to me from the radio because back then my source was pretty much the radio, and we only had top 40 AM radio even then, even in the mid 70s. A dedicated FM rock station was still several years away. So the next several on my list, although oftentimes here there's been conversation comes up where the hit songs are the garbage from the records, and the meat and potatoes of the albums are all the deep cuts.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very grateful for all those hit songs because that was the first thing I hit and got me interested in getting into the records more. So anyway, the second one is Aerosmith's Toys in the Attic. And my third one, same thing. I hear the single on the radio, and this one kind of is a bit of a game changer because it was much different than just a meat and potatoes, guitar, bass, and drum kind of sound. And that was when I heard "Carry On, Wayward Son" on the radio, and I got into Kansas Leftoverture. What a big, huge record. Still sounds great to this day. Produced really well. It stuck with me all these years. It's about as proggy as I get. I'm a prog light kind of guy. I don't get into the heavy duty prog bands, but I love that one. And like I said, all of these have stuck with me over the years. So they're my first three.
Yeah, that's good. I remember Kansas back in the day. I had that 45. I never got the album though, but I played the hell out of that damn 45.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're surprised when you heard the long version.
Mm-hmm.
I was used to the
Same
the,
here.
the
That's happened to
edited
me
version.
too. Same
when
here. I was like, at the 45 played it, and then I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
Wait, what is this part? But they would play
What
the
is this
long
stuff?
version on the radio, and I would go, "What the hell is this? What's happening here?" Yeah, but I still love it. Yeah, it's still good. All right, cool. Thanks, Keith. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's throw it over to the Elder of Rock.
All right, yeah.
Elder,
I'm
what you
echoing
got?
Keith. I'm echoing Keith here. He was like saying the same thing. I was trying to think of where I was in the 70s because there's a lot of 70s albums I didn't get into until like after the 70s. And probably my favorite, if I'm being on probably my favorite 70s album would be Queen and Night at the Opera, but I didn't get into that till later.
See,
So
I got
was
into
trying to
that.
think-
I got into that right. What was it? My gateway. I think my gateway Queen album. No, it had to be Night at the Opera in like fifth or sixth grade, and then
I had heard Bohemian Rhapsody, but I was like really didn't start listening to Queen until like News of the World and then Jazz. And then there was a live album. And then after that, then I got into it, then into that in their early stuff. So I was trying to think of like Keith, where I was in the 70s in my formative years. So my first one's going to be Cheap Trick, Dream Police. Here's the cool fold there.
there you go.
That's cool.
And this is just like this. It's in a way this echoes what happened with Kiss. They had a big live album, and then their next album was kind of a little bit more experimental. But I think with Cheap Trick it worked a lot better than with Kiss with Destroyer a little bit maybe because it's just like more rock, but they had some pop on it. It's got some great stuff on there. It's still got some heavy stuff like The House is Rockin'. Gonna Raise Hell. I love that. If you ever saw the show Freaks and Geeks, there's a Halloween show where they're all getting ready for Halloween to go out and vandalize, and that this song is playing, and it just fit it perfect. So there's my number 10. My number 9 is going to be REO Speedwagon.
There you go.
This is REO Speedwagon's probably heaviest album in my opinion. And this is really, I got this one, and then I got You Can Tune a Piano, but this one I just really love, and then I started, I got the live album and all that, and then of course after this was High Infidelity, which was okay, but I was a little bit disappointed it wasn't as heavy as this. Also, if you have Tubi, I think right now there's a REO Speedwagon concert from this tour. It's recorded in Germany, and they play a lot of this album. So if you have Tubi, looking that up on the music stuff there. Yeah, but REO Speedwagon 9 Lives, great heavy album. Heavy on Your Love, Drop It in Old Disguise, Only the Strong Survive. It has Back on the Road Again. So
Easy Money. It's got Easy Money on
Easy
it.
Money.
Damn it.
Yep. Yes.
See, I love it. See,
all
back
that
in
good
the
stuff.
back in the day, that used to get airplay on the FM rock stations, and then for some reason that track just kind of got forgotten. But they used to play that as much as anything else. I don't know why it just kind of went by the wayside, but
I remember hearing Only the Strong Survive a few times on the radio as well.
Yeah. They played that. Now they don't play it anymore, but they used to.
All right. So then my next album is going to be this album. It's going to be Rush, Farewell to Kings. This is my first full-length studio album of theirs. I got the live album first, and then I got this one, and then just really opened my eyes. I think other than Led Zeppelin, Rush was the only band that was like had really long songs. You know, other than Led Zeppelin, I was listening to at the time. You know, they had Xanadu's on here, which was 11 minutes. Cygnus X1, which is 10 minutes. And then I got to see Rush on the Permanent Waves tour, and they did Cygnus X1, and it just blew me away. I just was, you know, so anyway, so yeah, so there you go. There's Rush. There's that, all that good stuff. Farewell to Kings.
There you go.
So, Farewell to Kings. There you go. So there's my first three.
All right, cool. All right. Thanks, Elder. Let's throw it over to Parrish. Parrish, give us your three.
Yeah, well, I think going last, this is going to be a bit like 70s rock albums bingo for me, because I've just been going to tick off all the albums I've either got on my top 10 or my honourable mentions. But luckily, I've still got a few left. So my number 10 is this album, which nobody outside of the UK will know anything about. Yeah. It's The Undertones. Mm-hmm. This was released in 1979. It came out originally in May, and then they had a couple of hits, so they re-released it in September, I think it was, and this is the version that came out in September. Songs on it, I guess the biggest known song is Teenage Kicks, that's been covered by a few people. But it's also got Jimmy Jimmy, which is a great song. Here Comes the Summer. Now, all the songs are under 3 minutes. Most of the songs are under 2 minutes. If you like power pop with a hint of Ramones, that's the best way to sum up the Undertones. They were from Northern Ireland, or still are from Northern Ireland, still going. Very big for a short period in the late 70s in the UK. And then sort of disappeared in the early 80s. I don't think that album charted anywhere outside of the UK.
No.
So that's my first one.
Yeah.
The second one I've got at number 9 is a more familiar album to everybody. Van Halen's debut. I've told the story before, but my older brother went to see Black Sabbath and came back and told me that they'd been blown off stage by this punk band, and I was into punk at the time, this punk band called Van Halen. So I went to the record store, saw it had a track called Atomic Punk, saw that it had a cover version of a King song, which I was into because I was into the Jam. So I bought it expecting a punk rock, and actually looks pretty punk rock on the back, I think. So I bought it expecting a punk album, and it wasn't, but I loved it then, and I love it now, and it's probably my favourite debut album of all time. So that's my number 8. That's my number 9. My number 8 is an album that I know Grant knows, but nobody else knows it. The Heavy Metal Kids.
Yes, sir.
Their third album came out in 1976, Kitsch, and I just think it's a fantastic album, produced by Mickey Most. Got vocals by a guy called Gary Holton, who's got huge personality. I got into them because I saw them do She's No Angel on Top of the Pops, which is worth watching on YouTube. It's a lot of fun. But it's just got some great sort of glam, proggy type songs on it. My favourite, I think, on it is what's it called? Cry For Me. I think it's the best song on it, but it's got some really good upbeat ones like Jackie the Lad, She's No Angel, Squalor Day Inn. So if you've not heard it, and I know you got the box set recently, didn't you, Grant? So,
I did, yeah.
And you featured it on your show. But yeah, so that's my number 8.
Is that sorry.
Go ahead, Meat. Go ahead.
Is that like a post-punk kind
No,
of thing?
no, this was pre-punk. So if anything, it is a bit punky, and certainly his vocals are a bit punky, I suppose. But I would say it's glam rock, and there's elements of prog rock in there. Lots of keyboards. And then just coming back to the Wishbone Ash album cover, that's supposed to be a Roman centurion, I believe. I remember hearing that somewhere. Standing there, you've got the back of him, he's holding the spear, if I remember rightly. Yeah, and I think he's supposed to be a Roman centurion as they invaded Britain under Julius Caesar, I think, is what I recall.
Is Fergal Sharkey still playing with the Undertones or no?
No, he's not with the band anymore. He's a bit of a protester at the moment.
Oh,
He's
good. Well,
moaning
that keeps him busy.
And he's doing a good thing, because he's moaning about all the pollution that's being pumped into the sea around the UK and trying to get the waterways all cleaned up. So, can't complain about that, really. Yeah,
I've got.
But the rest of the band are pretty much the same, though.
I've got him like on a couple of new wave compilations, like his solo stuff.
Yeah, solo stuff's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. He definitely is a unique vocal.
I was going to say very unusual vocals.
Very unusual vocals. Yeah.
But very good.
All right, cool. Excellent. All right, let's throw it over to Alex. Thank you, Harish. Alex, what's your next 3?
Number 7, Star Wars soundtrack. No, just kidding.
See, or Miko. The album for Miko would be good.
There it is. Destroyer. So that's my original pressing. And then there's I think this was the 35th anniversary. They reissued this with the original cover. And I had Ken Kelly, who's the artist, draw those heads on there for me and sign the album.
How cool is that?
And they thought this was too violent or something, right? So they changed it. I mean, that's
neat. It's even like a different order, isn't it?
Well, it's they're alive. Hold it right.
It doesn't seem that much different to me, but
I think it's a different order of people, isn't it?
Well, the outfits are different. It's a different.
No, maybe it's not a different order.
No, it's the same, but it's the same. But
it's got the 75 costumes. Yeah.
But I mean, you look at that and you see death and destruction and fire.
That's a bit more. Yeah.
So I never quite understood that. So anyway, so this is 1976. This is their 4th album, and to me, has always been my favorite. Although I will go with the first one. I probably play that more now, but this is the album that really got me into Kiss, and as a visual thing and as a music, it was just a complete package. As a kid growing up in the 70s, this was it, right? Kiss and Evel Knievel. They're my heroes. But what's great about this that I think is, first of all, it's incredibly diverse, right? It's unlike any other Kiss album. It's Bob Ezrin, who I love and who will be coming up down the road. I love Bob Ezrin on this album, The Elder. Let's not talk about that at the moment. But it's got anthems. It's got Detroit Rock City and God of Thunder, which is my favorite Gene Simmons song. It has Beth, which is, for better or for worse, started the power ballad, right? There's no Motley Crue Home Sweet Home without Beth. And then some of the deep tracks, Flaming Youth and Sweet Pain. To me, just a fantastic Kiss album. So that's number 7. Number 6, New York Dolls.
Oh, there you go.
That's my original press. This is a 2-in-1 that they did for the UK, where you got both first and second albums.
That's cool.
And then, of course, I had to get this one, which is both albums again, just in different packaging, no different music, different packaging. And then this year, this came out, and that's the 45 speed numbered edition. So that's all my copies and how much I love this record. So this is obviously their debut album, produced by Todd Rundgren, came out in 1973. And I just think this band and particularly this lineup was just magic. Personality Crisis and Trash are two of the greatest songs of the 70s. It's pure rock, bombast. I always describe David Johansen as Mick Jagger on steroids. He was he's a shouter, not a singer, but boy, is he a showman. This did nothing. Billboard, it got to 116 and quickly disappeared. The second album, even less. However, now you look at this album as a landmark album, name checked by tons and tons of bands that followed, that were glam metal, that were everything. This is pre-punk. This is just way ahead of its time, and a brilliant record. All right, that's 6. Now we go to number 5. Alice Cooper, Love It to Death. My favorite Alice Cooper record, again, Bob Ezrin. So this is the original one with the thumb coming out there. They then did this ridiculous cropped version, which you rarely see, but it's just stupid. And they realized it was stupid. So that's when they did the airbrush version. Then I also have an Italian version with a totally different and bizarre cover. That's on Charter Line Records. And then also this year, Rhino put out a new deluxe edition. This was cut by Kevin Gray. Sounds fantastic.
Kevin Gray's the man.
Yeah. So what's special about this album to me is, so I was born in 1969. My mother was into Alice Cooper in the early 70s. So as a small child, this is the first music I heard. Love It to Death and $1 Billion Babies and Killer and School's Out. So thank you, Mom, for, making me the person I am, which is, messed up because of listening to this music as a child. But no, seriously, I love Alice Cooper, one of my favorite artists of all time. And this, I just think is, I know a lot of people will take Killer or $1 Billion Babies. This is the album for me. This is what created shock rock. This is the dark, eerie sound of Alice Cooper. I'm 18. Again, definitive rock anthem. But Black Juju and Hallowed Be Thy Name, Second Coming, Ballad of Dwight Fry. I mean, this is some really incredibly interesting music that, again, influenced so many bands that came after this. And so that's my number 5.
Question. The one with the one where he's got his finger sticking out.
Yeah.
Is that on Bizarre or is that on the green label?
It's on Straight. I have it on Straight.
Straight. But is it the Straight label or is it the green label? Warner
Straight,
Brothers.
the Straight label with pink on it, I think.
Yeah, I like the okay.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. I was just curious because I know of it. I've never seen one in the wild. So there you go. Cool. All right, excellent. Thanks, Alex. Perfect. All right, David, what's your next 3?
My next one is from 1972. It's Aretha Franklin, Amazing Grace.
There you go.
It's a live album recorded in a church. And she's basically singing gospel music with a choir backing her up. I'm technically traditionally I'm not really into gospel music or drawn to that, but I love Aretha, and when she's singing it, I'll pretty much listen to anything. And the way this album is recorded, it feels like you're right in the room with her. You can actually hear conversations of people in the congregation, and it just feels like you're right in there, like live off the floor. And in 2020, they actually released the documentary footage of her recording the album, so you can actually watch her as she's performing it, and it kind of deepens the experience. It's not an album that a lot of people talk about in terms of her career, but it's an amazing record. Just she's like at the peak of her vocal powers at that point. So yeah, that's
awesome.
Yeah. And then number 6, I went with Stevie Wonder, Inner Visions. It's an amazing record. I was doing some research. It seems like most of the critical consensus is that Songs in the Key of Life is like his greatest accomplishment, but I think I prefer Inner Visions. I just like Higher Ground is amazing. Living for the City is probably the best song on the album. He really started incorporating a lot of like sound effects of like making like from the inner city, and the lyrics addressing like social issues. He was really trying to deepen his lyrical approach in a lot of ways, and he was kind of like capturing the plight of people living in the city at that time during the 70s. So, and then number 5 is Genesis, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway.
Ooh.
That was the album that really got me into Genesis, and my kind of like my introduction to prog in a big way. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the outlier in their catalog in a lot of ways, but I mean, and the concept itself, it doesn't really hold up, like taken out of context, but within the
Mhm.
context of the songs and just the way that Peter Gabriel enunciates and like his cadences throughout every song, the way he becomes that character, it's just very memorable. Like songs like the Carpet Crawlers, the title track, even the deeper tracks like Lily White Lilith and the Shaper of 32 Doors it's just amazing stuff. I actually caught Steve Hackett a few months ago, and he's playing like some deeper selections from that album on this tour, and that was also pretty amazing because of the way like the guitar was mixed on that album. You kind of overlook just how good he was and how much he was contributing to the arrangements at that time. But when you see him play it now, you get to realize what like the solos and just how much he was actually playing. So that was really cool to see.
Cool. Uncle Meat, I totally skipped over you because, for one, I'm an idiot. And, well, two, because I skipped over you. Not
Oh, it
intentionally, though.
happens.
It does. But, well, we try not to do that but anyway, David, thank you. Was that your third one?
Yep.
All right, cool. Thank God someone's keeping track. Me, you're up. Sorry about that.
Not a
Brain
problem.
dead. Yeah.
Not a problem. My number 7, there are certain albums that, and of my list of 10, I'd say that gets most for this album than any other album. Certain albums that you don't want to hear a track off the album, you want to hear the whole album. And this is exactly what I feel about Neil Young's Harvest. I love the album so much, and I don't necessarily love tracks separately, but I love hearing that from the beginning to end. It's like it's like a quick little novel. It's like a quick little like shot of emotion or up and down. Just an amazing written album. And I can't say anything more about it. It's just incredible songwriting and an incredible album. So that is my number 7.
Right.
My number 6, well, it's been said already, and I'll say it is as influential as any album that could be mentioned in the 70s, and that is Van Halen, Van Halen. You can't even count the people that have been influenced by the first 2 tracks on that album coming at them in 1978 or whenever it was. Just amazing. Like it's almost like the poppy stuff kind of separates all the mayhem, and it's all great. It's just an incredible debut album. So yeah, Van Halen
All right.
had to be on the list. And speaking of an album that I love from beginning to end, my number 5 is an album I grew up again with. I heard it as a young child, and I still love this band, and I still love this album. And it's
not that. Not Saturday Night
it's
Fever.
not quite that.
Jesus, I thought it was that.
It's not quite that. It's
Okay,
not quite
all right.
that dancey.
Okay.
But Supertramp, Breakfast in America is literally like it's like the prog rumors. It just never stops. It's never every song on that album is amazing. It's amazing. The first track, Gone Hollywood, is one of the most underrated songs ever, I think, because no one ever talks about it. You never hear it on the radio. It's just so amazing.
Not anymore, you
beginning
don't.
and at the end, it's Child of Vision, which is almost like their kind of short little prog melodic opus. It's just an incredible album, and yeah, I mean, the only reason it's not in the top 4 is that there's too much to choose from. So, A Breakfast in America, a Supertramp had to be on the list.
All right, cool. Well, I was hoping that it was going to be Saturday Night Fever, but that's okay. All right, cool. Thank you, Uncle Meat. All right, let's throw over to Keith. I'm sure he's got Saturday Night Fever in the list. Anyway, go ahead, Keith.
Actually, well, we won't even get to that. Number 7 is kind of more the same story. Another rock song that came crashing through the din of the AM radio of the day. was Foreigners Feels Like the First Time for me. Love that record still to this day. The whole damn record is good from start to finish. Not really any bad tracks on it, and unfortunately they would change their game up in a few years, but that record still sits in my tops. Next up, slightly different. The story's starting to change because a couple of my friends that were, getting into this music together were starting to hang out and spending a lot of time at one particular friend's house. He's got a sister that's 3 years older than us, a brother that's 5 or 6 years older than us, and between the two of them, they're turning our little brains upside down with all kinds of things. He's pushing UFO and AC/DC at us, and she's on the softer side, but still had some really good stuff for us to check out. One of those records we kind of really intrigued us. We certainly knew who Edgar Allan Poe was. We were smart enough kids to kind of have an idea of who Poe was even back then, and intrigued by the record. It's not the record I chose. I chose the next one because by the time I had a few dollars together to get the record, I went with Alan Parsons Project's I, Robot. What another one of those ear-opening records that was just so different and but just blew me away. It probably weakens up a little bit. Side 2 isn't quite as strong as side A, but it's an album that plays from start to finish and tracks that are strong and just crazy strong. Love that record. And then for my number 5, things are starting to change because we're now hitting 1978, and that is like a watershed year for me. Big change of absorbing music because I grew up just outside of Allentown, Pennsylvania, and Allentown in 1978, finally some businessman came along and bought the FM Muzak station and to turn it over to his kid who was just getting out of college, and that was his graduation gift. And so we got an FM rock station, and that was it. That was it. My world, I couldn't get enough. If I wasn't in school or whatever, that the radio was on, and I'm just absorbing, everything I could listen to. And so for number 5, another game changer that suddenly is making me realize how, rock isn't just hard rock and it's not always all this atmospheric stuff, but it can be quirky and still kick ass. And that was the 1978 debut album from the Cars. What just flipped me upside down. What a fantastic record. So there you have it. That takes me up to number 5.
Yeah, well, go ahead, Meat. Go ahead.
I just quickly, that was the hardest. That was one of the hardest albums to leave off my list. I mean, it's quite possibly the greatest debut album of all time. I think 6 or 7 songs are still radio songs.
Yeah, but I remember when that came out, because no one knew new wave or anything like that in the States at that time. Not in Central Ohio. We never knew anything about anything else like that. That was like the first thing that was like new wave that we ever heard. And when we heard it, it was like me and my friends would go, God, what the heck is that? That sounds way different than anything else. Now, if you compare the first Cars album to any other new wave albums, I'm just saying it might be a little benign. I don't know, but it's still a great record. But man, when we first heard it, there was nothing else like it at the time, but it still stands up. All the tracks are good. And I've always said, you can take Candio, you can take the debut album, cut them up, put them in a jar, mix them up. I always think that those records are totally interchangeable. You know, they have the same, they sound the same, even though they're recorded in two different countries. It's just amazing. So I don't know, whatever. Anyway, there you go. I went on the Cars, but I love all that stuff. Love it. Good choice, Keith. All right. Thank you, Keith. Elder, what you got? What's your next three?
Yeah, like you said, the Cars, that album, I remember, yeah, like every song I think on that album got played on the radio. And it's like the Cars' greatest hits album would be the debut and a few other songs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
True.
That's all you needed.
My next one, so I got into Kiss first. That was the first band I ever got into. But the second band I ever got into was Aerosmith. And the first album I got was Draw the Line. And that was pretty cool, you know. But then I got the rest of their catalog. And man, I just loved a lot of their stuff. It was really hard for me to pick a favorite, actually, of those ones. But I think I have to settle on this one, Aerosmith Rocks. To me, this is just like, I think they're maybe their heaviest album. It's kind of like their heavy metal album. It's got, you know, Back in the Saddle, Last Child's kind of funky. Rats in the Cellar is heavy. You got Nobody's Fault, which is heavy. And then it closes with Home Tonight, which to me is the precursor to Home Sweet Home for me personally. When I first heard Home Sweet Home, I heard a lot of similarities to that and Home Tonight, including having home in the title. So there you go. Yeah, so there's that one. And then the next one, I had to pick a band. I had to pick something that was, you know, metal, heavy metal. But there wasn't a whole lot in the 70s yet. But there was Judas Priest, Hellbent for Leather. Just a great heavy metal album. Les Banks just plays really great drums on this. And kind of introduced me to the double bass playing that, you know, is in heavy metal a lot. I think he might have been one of the first drummers I heard that really put a lot of that to use. And it's just great, you know. And of course, even though they haven't totally got the heavy metal look yet, I mean, I think Rob Halford looks just like an awesome heavy metal singer there. He almost doesn't look like himself, you know, but there you go. So there's that one, Judas Priest, Hellbent for Leather. And now, of course, I had to so my first band, like I said, was Kiss. The first album I got was Destroyer, and I did love it, and it was great. But then when I put on this record, this record here, when I heard I Want You, and then thinking, oh yeah, so it's being nice, you know, and all of a sudden that heavy guitar kicks in, and it just, you know, blew my hair back, you know, it just was awesome. And then Take Me comes on. And then Calling Dr. Love comes on with I just don't think I'd ever heard anything so heavy at that point, you know. Baby Driver, the ballad Hard Luck Woman is on there, but at least it's got drums on it, so it's not like Beth all the way, you know, Peter Criss singing. So it closes with Making Love, and just a heavy, heavy song. And so, yeah, so I think this is my favorite, right? You know, it always goes back and forth, you know, I guess switch back and forth, but this is like my favorite of the Kiss 70s, at least today. That my last was my other three. Okay, yeah, okay.
All right,
so
cool, nice. Excellent choices, Elder. All right, cool. Let's start over to the Parish and see what he has to say. I'm sure he's got something. Slade, you got any Slade in there, Parish?
Wait and see.
Okay, I figured.
So this is my number 7. It's already been mentioned. Cheap Trick, Dream Police, and yeah, just a fantastic album. Came out in '79. It wasn't a hit over here. It barely dented the charts. I think it was quite a big hit in the States.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just got tracks like Dream Police, which is probably it is definitely one of my favourite Cheap Trick songs. Way of the World. My favourite Cheap Trick song, I'll Be With You Tonight. Voices. And then the Rockers that Elder mentioned earlier. So, and it's just got such a great album cover. We've already seen it, but the bit I like about it is the gatefold, and inside it still cracks me up seeing that. So, brilliant album cover. Next one, and one of the things I decided when I did this is I was only going to pick one album per band, because it would have been quite easy to have ended up with 2 or 3 albums from a band. And this band, I really struggle with, because I often call the one I'm gonna show in a minute as my favourite. But then we did a show on Queen about a week ago, and at the end of that, I decided maybe another album was my favourite. But I decided to go with the one I normally say, which is Queen, News of the World. It's got the hits that everybody knows: We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions. Got some great rockers like Sheer Heart Attack, but brilliant ballad in Spread Your Wings. And again, just another fantastic, for me anyway, another fantastic album cover.
Yeah.
And I was definitely swayed back in the 70s by album covers and gatefolds, and quite a few albums I bought purely on the record sleeve, as opposed to the having heard any of the songs. Although in the case of Queen, I actually got into Queen with the Sheer Heart Attack album. All right, Grant, you'll be pleased.
Sir. I am pleased with Slade. You. Yes,
got a bit of Slade. There's them live on the back. It came with a booklet at the time, which they like their booklets. So as we all know, Slade is the most influential band of the 70s. Grant and I have discovered this on his channel, influencing bands from the Ramones to Kiss. To Cheap Trick, to pretty much all the hair metal. Quiet Riot, well, surprisingly Quiet Riot, yeah. But also U2 say that they were heavily influenced. Nirvana saw Slade in 74 and said it was the biggest influence on them. So pretty wide-ranging influences, but very, very little impact in the States, but actually huge in the UK. Now, this is actually a best-of album. It came out in 73, and it's the only album I've got from the first half of the 70s. But I didn't realise it was a sort of a best-of until quite recently. But it's got quite a lot of the big hits. Mama Will, Crazy Now, Come On Feel the Noise, Squeeze Me, Please Me, Take Me Back Home, Goodbye to Jane. And quite a few of those songs don't appear on any other studio album because they were just released as singles. So that is my number 5.
Yeah, and if anybody's looking to get into Slade, I would say that would be a good gateway drug to their catalog. Because, like you said, Parrish, really, it's just they don't really market it as a best of, but it's a collection of their singles, pretty much. But it's got quite a few deep cuts from the first few albums as well. So it's quite an interesting mix of songs on there. So yeah. Yeah, it's a good collection. All right, cool. Was that 3, or you got another one?
No, that was Cheap Trick, Queen, Slade.
All right, as long as you know what we're doing. All right, Alex, what's your final 4?
All right. So we're doing all 4 now?
Just do all 4. Just do it.
All right. So let's get in serious now, and we got to keep
getting serious.
Let's keep the excitement level up because we don't want Grant to fall asleep, right?
I won't fall asleep. I'm awake.
Good. The next 4 are perfect albums to me. They are also, I would say, 4 would make my top 10 of any era. So this is serious stuff. So number 4, Sex Pistols debut, an absolute perfect album. Now this is the 77 UK version. I do have a 77 US test pressing.
My God, look at it.
That's the US press kit for the 77 release.
Oh, that's cool.
There's a mid-80s US. And then also this year, Rhino did a numbered edition, Kevin Gray, and this sounds fantastic. I know some people are kind of shitting on these and saying, especially this one, why do you need this? You want the way it sounded. I want the best sounding album. And Kevin Gray did a masterful job on this. So this is fantastic. And again, a perfect album. God Save the Queen, Anarchy in the UK. I would say the 2 best punk rock songs of all time 1 and 2, same band, same album. But you got Pretty Vacant and Liar and EMI and on and on and on. I mean, I can't say enough about this. This is an album I can listen to every day, never get bored. You know, there's albums I played as much, Back in Black and so forth, that I'm tired of and never have to hear again. I just don't get tired of this. Perfection.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
Number 4. Number 3, from 1975. Yes, 1975.
Oh, yeah.
Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. So there's original issue with the hype sticker. I've got Half Speed Master, which sounds fantastic. And this just showed up today. So this is a Bear World Records put this out. It's one of the liquid filled.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's
Jesus.
cool.
The 4 colors. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Bear World does a great job with it. If you're into that, you know, it's to look at, not to play. But again, as a collector, you know, what the Pea Party would say, the curse is real, right? You can see
It is
cursed.
real. Alex, it's definitely real with you. It's definitely
this
real.
This is only room 1, by the way. So
I love it.
So this has a special place to me because growing up, I had an older friend who became a best friend, became a family member essentially, and we would go on road trips, and he would play this album over and over and over again. This is a point where I'm still a heavy metal kid, but I just heard it so much it just became part of my DNA, and to this day, not only one of my favorite albums, and obviously one of my favorite Pink Floyd album. I'm not a Dark Side of the Moon guy. Love Animals, love The Wall, but to me, nothing can touch us. This is just amazing. You know, the 9-part Sid tribute is perfection. Wish You Were Here to me is one of the greatest songs ever written, and to me, their best pure song, say a single, right? It's not, it could be outside of the catalog. You wouldn't know it's a Pink Floyd song, but just the lyrics mean so much to so many different people, and you can interpret it whatever way that you like. You know, this is Wright and Mason and Gilmore say this is their finest hour. Roger says this is their most complete LP. So again, to me, nothing beats this in the Pink Floyd catalog. In fact, that's the cassette I would listen to as a punk ass teenager, learning what music was all about. So
nice.
All right. So what was that?
I guess
number 2.
3.
Number 2.
2?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, he did Sex Pistols and then that.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2.
Oh,
ACDC, Highway to Hell.
Australian cover.
That's the Australian cover with the flames.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the US cover. And then that's a reissue 180 gram, but sounds great. Again, perfect. I got in AC/DC in 1980 when Back in Black came out. I had it within the first couple months of its release, and that sent me down a rabbit hole. I listened to AC/DC exclusively for a couple of years until I started to get it into other music. But this is just the height of their power, and with Bon Scott, to me, the greatest frontman of all time. Highway to Hell, the greatest rock anthem of all time. Girls Got Rhythm, Walk All Over You, Touch Too Much, Night Prowler, Love Hungry Man. This also benefits from Mutt Lange, right? This is the first album that the band worked with him. Originally, it was going to be Eddie Kramer, right? And then they had some kind of issue with him. It wasn't working out. They bring in Mutt Lange, who had done some stuff before that, Boomtown Rats and a few other things, City Boy, but wasn't well known. So this really put him on the map. And then after this, you have more AC/DC and then Foreigner and then Def Leppard. But it was just magic, I think, at this moment, putting him with this band. And so that's my number 2.
All right, cool.
And number 1 is the greatest album of the 70s, possibly the greatest album of all time, despite what anybody else might say after me. I'm telling you right now, this is it. And that's Bitches Brew, Miles Davis. And a stone cold, absolute masterpiece. A piece of music like no other. That's the original issue. There's the One Step Master that just came out. I've got singles collection. That's on red vinyl. That's outtakes, double album set. And I only have vinyl. I didn't really show off much of my CDs, but I will show off the box set because this thing is awesome. Lots of music that was not outtakes from the album, but of that era. Same lineup. So speaking of the lineup, right? I don't want to miss anybody, so I wrote down names. Wayne Shorter, Joe Zawinul go on to form Weather Report. Chick Corea goes on to Return to Forever. John McLaughlin, Billy Cobham go on to Mahavishnu Orchestra. And you also have people that play with Headhunters, right? And on and on and on. This is Miles Davis, jazz. Forget that. And don't even call this jazz rock. This is a rock album, right? If you want it to be. This is a space rock album if you want it to be. This is an ambient album if you want it to be. This is a prog album if you want it to be. I would urge anybody that thinks jazz is Kenny G or any variation of that, but fans of rock, I'm serious when I say give this album a chance and give it a chance. Don't just kind of casually listen to it. Sit there and absorb this. You hear I've played this over and over and over again, and I get something different out of it every time. It's just amazing what Miles did with the musicians that are on here, and then what he was going to do. Jack Johnson on the corner and Dark Evil, and this period from this came out in 1970. I forgot to mention that, recorded in 69. But from 70 to 75, Miles was just on fire and did stuff that the critics all hated at the time, and now everyone name checks it as landmark music. So that's my number one, Miles Davis. Bitches.
All right, excellent. I was certain you were going to mention Ted Nugent's State of Shock, but I'm trying to get over it.
That's number 11.
Okay. Well, damn it. I'm a little bit disappointed. All right, cool. Excellent picks. Excellent. God darn. The variety on this with this panel is top notch. All right, Meat. What's your 4?
Yay. Wow. Number 4. I'm a huge Steve Earle fan. And so I'm going to paraphrase a saying that he has said previously and use this person to make my point. That I would stand on Bob Dylan's coffee table with my cowboy boots on and swear that John Prine is the greatest songwriter of all time or lyric writer of all time. And that is basically saying that John Prine's first album, the self-titled album, is my number 4. It is an amazing album from beginning to end. There is not a moment on that album that I don't completely love. I've showed it to so many people, and I just think that he is the greatest lyric writer that I've ever heard. So there you go. John Prine, his self-titled album, that is my number 4. My number 3. I said I wasn't gonna do live albums, but I had to do this because this is a live album, but there are no studio versions of these songs that I know of. Mr. Frank Zappa is.
Oh, damn it! I thought it was Ted Nugent again. Damn it, Meat.
No, not this time.
Oh.
Mr. Frank Zappa is an effing genius. We all know. And I could have picked a lot of this stuff in the 70s, but by far my favorite album is Roxy and Elsewhere, which is just a classic, a Penguin in Bondage, a cheapness. There's so much stuff on this album that made me become a massive Frank Zappa fan. I mean, I was not old enough at the time to see Frank Zappa live, but I've seen Zappa play Zappa 3 times, and actually the DVD of them playing live is what made me even more fall in love with this album because the stuff is amazing. So Roxy and also Frank Zappa is my number 3. My number 2, if Rand Kelly was here, he'd be quite happy. The greatest prog album of all time, in my opinion. 3 songs of perfection. Close to the Edge by Yes is as good as it gets. There's just nothing more to say about how perfect that album is. They're completely perfect album because every song is gorgeous and ridiculous in such a fun way. I love everything about it. I mean, Yes is my second favorite band, and I had no choice but to put Close to the Edge as my number two.
All right.
But I do have a favorite band, and I had no choice but to put this as my number one. It's so clear. As a Canadian, you're born with you should like hockey and you should like Rush. And Rush is my favorite band, will always be. And the album Hemispheres is my favorite Rush album. I mean, there's four tracks on that album, and Circumstances is not an amazing track, but the other three are absolutely perfection. La Villa Strangiato, enough said. The Trees was one of the first songs that really got me into Rush when I was young, and the classic Cygnus X2 on that album, which is side one of the record, is one of my favorite Rush songs. So I had to put Rush on number one, and it had to be Hemispheres. So there you go, number one.
Awesome. And I apologize. I was getting Ted Nugent, Intensity in 10 Cities confused. That's in the 80s.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But I was pulling for Ted. God, I'm hoping someone's going to pick something from Ted in this group. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm trying. All right. Thank you, Meat. David, you're up. Let's hear some Ted Nugent picks.
I was really close to putting Free for All on my list, but it just missed the cut. So
That's all right. That works for me.
my number 4 is the self-titled from Warren Zevon. It's from '76. It's his second album, but for me, this is where he really became the Warren Zevon that we knew going forward. I mean, when you look at who played on this album, it's pretty much just like a who's who of everybody who was in LA or like the Laurel Canyon scene at the time. I mean, he had like David Lindley played on here, Waddy Wachtel. So Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks sing backup on here in harmonies. He's got Carl Wilson singing harmonies on here. It's a great album. I mean, his lyrics, he's always had kind of that sardonic sense of humor. The characters he comes up with for his songs are always memorable. I mean, Desperados Under the Eaves is amazing. Mohammed's Radio, Carmelita, Hasten Down the Wind. It's just he comes up with these melancholy melodies, but he always kind of presents it in a way that's always entertaining. And I like Excitable Boy a lot too, but I think that's probably my favorite album from him. And then my number 3 is Wish You Were Here, Pink Floyd, and that's always been my favorite Floyd album. There's not a wasted second on it. I just got this is the Wish You Were Here 50th anniversary box set here that just came out. It's
Alex, do you have that?
That just came out. Yeah.
Yeah, it just came out the other day. Yeah.
I'm just checking.
Yeah, it's got the original album. It has like rarities with some like demos of early like Welcome to the Machine with just Roger on it with very little sound effects or anything like that. It's a pretty rough version, but it's interesting. You can see how the song evolved from over time. It's got some early demos of the title track "Wish You Were Here" on it with a pedal steel intro, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, I love it. The Shine on You Crazy Diamond, that's like one of my favorite songs of all time. I always think about it. It's like Gilmore and Waters were still on the same page at this point. They felt like a real collective effort before the band really started to like get separated. Yeah. So, yeah. So, but yeah, it feels like a real cohesive effort on all 4 members at that point before they kind of splintered off after that. So, yeah, my number 2 is, Bitches Brew. I mean, for me, I always like Miles Davis, like Kind of Blue. I love, but for me, when I heard this album, it kind of changed the way I thought about jazz and what like he was really pushing the boundaries and kind of reinventing what people thought jazz was supposed to be. And like John McLaughlin's guitar playing never ceases to blow my mind. So every time I listen to the album, I hear different things, and it's like one of those albums you can never get tired of. I mean, people write like long essays, and I've seen like people really get pretty into dissecting what Miles was trying to do and what he was saying on that album. It's a great album. And then my number one is Physical Graffiti from Led Zeppelin. This was the album that pretty much got me into rock as a kid. I'm only 37, so the sad thing is I wasn't able to experience any of these albums in real time. So I pretty much discovered them later from my parents, or then when I was old enough to buy my own records. But for me, like all my favorite Zeppelin songs pretty much come from this album. I think it's like their peak creatively. I mean, Jimmy Page was coming up with some incredible riffs on this album. The production's great. Even Kashmir is obviously like the big song off this album, but Custard Pie is amazing. In My Time of Dying is great. In the Light is actually one of my favorite Zeppelin songs. That's kind of a deeper track on here. That's amazing also. But yeah, for this 1975, that was I think it's probably the 50th anniversary this year. That's another great album from that year. So yeah, that's my number one.
All right. Can't argue with any of those. All right. Thanks, David. Appreciate it. All right, Keith, you're up.
Okay. Coming in at number 4, like a freight train, it come racing through our speakers. It's been mentioned before, and I don't have a whole lot to add to it, but that Van Halen debut record just really kicked our asses in 1978. My number 3 is probably my outlier of all these, pretty much meat and potato, basic mainstream rock records that I have here. This band produced one of Martin Popoff's favorite records, their debut record. He has often cited as one of his favorites. A little more punky than the follow-up, but I was reading and absorbing everything I could, and these guys were getting a lot of positive press. Never really went anywhere, never broke into the mainstream. But I love A Tonic for the Troops by the Boomtown Rats. It's beautifully produced. It's fun. It is still a little punky, but it's got a lot of polish on it. Of course, we know the story of what would happen with Geldof and Live Aid and all that stuff that kind of overshadowed them as a band. But those first few Boomtown Rats records were really great. And this one, I do like that debut record. I like the follow-up to this one, but this one really hit me. By now, I have that Cars under my belt. I have some cousins who are really embracing new wave. So I had been turned on to Devo and some other stuff that was going on. So this one just fit in there really well. And I still pull this one out. I love that record. Number 2, another one of those stories where the first thing you hear coming off the radio, an incredible riff. And when we think of a riff, we think of some guitar thing, but this is like the Hammond organ. When I heard Tom Petty's Refugee come out of the first time, just blew me away, and couldn't wait to get my hands on a record. I remember exactly where I was with my parents the day I bought Damn the Torpedoes. Love it, start to finish. It's a perfect record. There's no skips on that one for me. And I'll wrap it up with another record that's been mentioned. I had been very aware of AC/DC. Thankfully, Louis, my buddy's brother, had turned us on early on to Let There Be Rock and Power Age. But hearing Once and For All, these guys come through the radio, because Touch Too Much got quite a bit of airplay, and had this story not gone this way with Mutt Lange, I think I don't know if we'd be talking about them today. Atlantic in America was really frustrated. They just couldn't get any traction on anything. They were pretty much ready to call it a day. And so, whatever that mix up and changing gears that happened and brought Mutt Lang in. Mutt Lang has done a lot of good and a lot of bad. I usually talk Mutt Lang without talking about bad, but this was a case where he just knew exactly how to change that sound just enough to get American radio behind them and turn them into the powerhouse that they would become. So that is my number one. There you go. There are my 10.
Well, I will say this, what Mutt did with AC/DC, though, I don't think it's all that much different. Maybe he fattened up the sound and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I think I screwed up. I think I said Wayne Kramer, Eddie Kramer, right? That's who was going to do it. And then
no, you said Eddie Kramer.
Okay, good. Okay. Yeah.
But what was I going to? No, I don't know what I was going to say. The thing is with the production that he was doing with them, like City Boy and AC/DC, those have dated really well. Now, some of the other productions that came along, not
his
dated
stuff he
so
did
well.
with the records is fantastic too, and that's like a band no one knows. And he had it at that point, and then it became hysteria and goodbye Mutt.
Yeah, and he did good work with the Shania. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Well, I was really pissed after he tore Foreigner apart. I got over it over the years, but that was a rough one for me. Foreigner,
I heard Lou Graham talking about that Foreigner 4, is that Mutt was pushing Lou to sing pretty much out of his range. So he was always pushing him, It was a lot of that stuff's out of Lou Graham's range, but he did it, but he wasn't very comfortable in it. He wasn't comfortable doing it. You know what I mean? I don't know. But Foreigner 4 is great. I don't have a problem with Foreigner 4. It's fine. All right, cool. Excellent. Thank you, Keith. Let's throw it over to the Elder of Rock.
All right. Well, this was just mentioned, but hey, might as well mention it again. It's a good album. AC/DC, Highway to Hell. I first saw them on the Midnight Special, I think. If You Want Blood, You Got It. And then I got their back catalog, and then I remember just waiting for this album to come out and was not disappointed. And yeah, so there you go. Everything's been said about it already. So the next one, this band, I already mentioned this band once, and then they all decided to do solo albums. And when this one came out, I just was amazed by it. It just blew me away. Ace Frehley. And there's my sign. I got it signed at was it Dingleberries in Centerville, Ohio, and he was touring first Frehley's Comet album. So it's his first touring band that signed that. But yeah, I didn't even rip it out when that came on. I couldn't believe it. Then it goes into Speeding Back to My Baby. It just Snowblind Ozone. What's on Your Mind? Of course, New York Groove. I mean, Eat of Love, Wiped Out, and the instrumental Fractured Mirror. I mean, it was just, I just love that. That was great. And so yes, and this band has been mentioned, I think once before, a different album, but I couldn't not have a top 10 70s album without this band and this album. Sabotage, of course, goes back and forth with me all the time. Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, I love too. I thought about that one. I had the cassette of this originally, and then so yeah, I mean, I just never forget hearing Symptom of the Universe, and just that heavy crunch on the guitar when it first starts is just amazing. And then Megalomania, you got Super Czar. What was weird is that this was like, I think the last of the Sabbath, because my first intro to Sabbath was We Sold Our Souls to Rock and Roll, which had a lot off of the first, and Paranoid, had a few off of Volume 4. But the only song it had off of Sabotage was Radio, Am I Going Insane? So for some reason, I didn't think that was maybe as heavy an album. So I had gotten all, I think I said, I got Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, because it had Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath on there. So I was like, I knew that was going to be heavy. But yeah, I got this. I was glad I got it. And then ended up being, I think, my favorite as of right now anyway. And then the last thing they have on there is Blow on a Jug. but like until few years ago, I didn't know they were saying blow on a jug. I thought he was saying blow on a joint because of Sweet Pea. I thought he's saying blow on a joint.
Well,
So, but anyway, so and then of course this has been mentioned too already, but yeah, Van Halen. I think it's just a game changer of an album, not just because of Eddie's guitar playing, but because of David Lee Roth. I mean, just one of the best frontman ended up being one of this friend. He's singing great on this. He's doing those like little scream yelps, whatever you want to call it, and you just it was just so cool. I just remember hearing this in my 8th grade art class. Our teacher let us play music, and a guy brought in and he put on this. He had the cassette of this, put it on, and I just was blown away by it, And so there you go. So Van Halen, my number one of the 70s.
Super. All right, cool. Well, Parrish, it's up to you.
Okay, well, it's nearly 2:00 in the morning over here. And,
You're hardcore.
And luckily, most of my top 4 have already been mentioned, so I can whistle through them.
Through them.
Number 4 for me is this one, Tom Petty, Down the Torpedoes. Oh, bugger. Are you still there, guys?
Yeah, you never disappeared.
Oh, well, the screen went dead here. I thought I'd gone. You know what it's like. Yeah,
We've seen it.
There's the reverse cover. I got this at the time. The internal. But it didn't do anything over here at all. I know it was a big album in the States, but in fact, he didn't do anything over here until the late 80s when he did the solo stuff. So that's my number 4. My number 3 hasn't been mentioned. It's Out of the Blue, ELO. It was tough whether I picked this one or I picked New World Record, but I do like this slightly more. Turn to Stones opens the album, my favourite ELO song. Sweet Talking Woman. But the big hit, and probably the song that everybody knows the band by, is Mr. Blue Sky, and that's on the album. And that's my picture disc version.
Very nice.
So like everybody else, I saw that in the record store a little while ago and just had to buy it. My number 2, I'm surprised, but was also mentioned, Boomtown Rats, Tonic for the Troops.
Wow.
So there's the front cover, there's the back cover, Bob Geldof. This one was a big album in the UK. Got to number 1 as an album, I think. But She's So Modern was the first single that got to number 12. Like Clockwork, which is my favourite track on the album, got to number 6. And then the Boomtown Rats was the first punk/new wave band to have a number 1 in the UK, knocking Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta off their number 1 spot, and that was Rat Trap, which was, I guess you would say, is punk's Bohemian Rhapsody in the way it builds. But it's also quite Bruce Springsteen-like if you listen to the lyrics and with the saxophone kicking in. Mm-hmm. So that's my number 2. And my number 1 is my favourite album of all time. Everybody else has spoken about it. I haven't got a lot to say other than I saw them on the tour. It was the very first concert I ever went to. Def Leppard opening. Bon Scott sadly passed away a couple of months later. And it's got my favourite AC/DC track, Touch Too Much, on it. So, as everybody's spoken about it, I'm not going to say much else. But I think, Grant, you got the quote of the night when you said that Matt Lung did quite well. I can't remember the exact phrase you used, but something like playing around with Shania Twain or something like that, you said.
Well, I think he did good work with Shania Twain.
Yeah, I think that might have been the phrase you used. I think he thinks that as well. Yeah.
Well, until he screwed up the relationship, but yeah. I think he thought that.
Screwed up something.
Yeah, screwed was the word.
Yeah. But he has, it's funny really, my top 2 albums of the 70s are both Matt Lang albums. And my second favourite album of all time is Pyromania. So as a producer, I quite like Matt Lang. And I think he's actually done some reasonable stuff from the 90s onwards. He did a couple of Bryan Adams albums which I thought were very good.
That's right.
He did a Muse album which was very good. So I think he kind of found his way again through the 90s and into the 2000s. But that's another show. Entirely different show.
I do think we have to blame him for a lot of that 80s sound, though, in the 80s.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Do you have any honorables while we're on you, real quick?
I've got loads, but a lot of them have already been mentioned. As I say, it was a bit like bingo here. But the ones that haven't been mentioned is the Jam Setting Suns, Meatloaf Bat Out of Hell, Montrose's debut.
Oh, I can't believe no one mentioned Montrose at all.
Montrose's debut, Police Outlanders D'Amour, Thin Lizzy, Black Rose, and Kiss Destroyer, which I thought Elder was going to say, so I was going to tick that one off my list. Others I had that have been mentioned were Nine Lives, Foreigner's debut, and then a couple more that haven't been mentioned was Repeat When Necessary by Dave Edmunds / Rockpile, and Destination Boulevard by Sweet. So they were
no one mentioned any Sweet albums.
Yeah.
Jesus, what the hell? All right, cool. Anybody else have? I don't know.
I'll take a stab at a few.
Go ahead, Keith. Go. We'll just go.
I'm a little shocked this one didn't come up, but how about the Boston debut record in 1970?
It did not come up.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
I didn't feel bad
honorables.
leaving that one off because I thought for sure that one would get hammered. One from 1979 that I know Grant's going to get behind me on, and that is Get the Knack.
100%.
My parents were very nerdy. They were never really hip to anything. And when 8-tracks were on their way out, they bought me an 8-track player. So one of the final 8-tracks that I bought before I finally gave it in was the Rolling Stones' Some Girls from 78. What
very
a
nice.
Great Stones record. Metal-wise, Scorpions' Love Drive was huge for me. That sound was just... It was hard and heavy, but that album just has a different sound to it, and took that heavy sound to a whole new place. And The Clash, London Calling. It's another record that nobody mentioned. I love that one. It gets a little dodged here and there. It isn't punk or whatever, but I love the mix of styles on that record, and for my age, especially, I mean, it was a lot to absorb or whatever, but I think it deserves all the praise that it gets. So there you go.
I want to mention, since you mentioned Scorpions, I'm going to mention Animal Magnetism as well.
Yeah.
Great album too.
I would say that too. Yeah.
Saw him on that tour. Phenomenal. No, I saw him on Love Drive. I'm sorry. Love Drive. Anyway, that was the first American tour. I've said that before. Anyway, cool. David, Elder, anybody else? Who else has something? Just jump in. Go ahead, Alex.
But first of all, I want to say I'm glad I was part of this panel. I mean, what fast music knowledge here, what passion we have for this, and what incredible selection. So, and David, with Bitches Brew, you're my new favorite contrarian, my man.
Look at that. Look at that.
Just real quick. Stooges, Raw Power. Incredible.
Yeah.
My favorite, Frank Zappa, Hot Rats. And again, the gumbo variations on here, I'll put up against anything that even Miles did as far as rock, jazz, rock, fusion, whatever you want to call it. Patti Smith, Horses, amazing record.
Mm-hmm.
Curtis Mayfield, Superfly, one of the best soundtracks of all time. My Stones pick, Sticky Fingers, love it. This was one that shocked me that didn't come up. Deep Purple Machine Head.
Oh my God.
I was shocked too.
No.
Incredible.
My God.
Shocked
How
too.
could that not come up?
Yeah.
Totally
And look,
shocked.
again, that's what I'm saying. When my first 6, okay, 7 through 10, any of these could switch out, right? Eagles, Hotel California.
Yeah.
Maybe a contrarian pick, but Eric
I
Burden.
got that scene.
Love that album.
This is so underrated and so incredible. Double disc set. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just.
is that in the Fat Boy? Is that in the Fat Boy? That's the one I have.
Beautiful album.
It's incredible.
Incredible record.
Donny Hathaway, my favorite soul singer. That's a fantastic album. James Brown, The Payback, killer. Joe Jackson, love this record.
Good record.
This is my tall pick. Aqualung, never get tired of it.
No one mentioned Aqualung.
Joni Mitchell Blue.
That's a fabulous record.
Beautiful record.
That was in my honorables.
My Van Morrison pick, Tupelo Honey. Mahavishnu Orchestra is mentioned
Excellent
before,
record.
Another great album.
If you're into rock and metal, listen to this because this is the heaviest shit you're ever going to listen to. And then one more contrarian pick, Bang.
Oh, you've got back. What? Wait a minute. Put the back into that. Let me see the rear of that. What is that label on? Because
This is the box set. That's the box set of all, including the first album.
When did that come out? I missed that. Tell me.
About 10 years ago. It's got the 3 studio albums, and then the first album that never was released. It was really their debut.
What label did that come re-release? What was that released on?
I don't even know. Let me turn the light on here. I don't even know what label this is. I don't even see a label.
Well, I can find it on Discogs. I'll be damned. I missed that.
No, it's a great box set. Gotta get it.
Super. Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. I'm done.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay, I got only a few left. I mean, a lot of my honorables were just mentioned, but I will mention a couple that I'm shocked that were not mentioned. Number one, Who's Next by The Who. I'm kind of surprised that wasn't.
Or hell, Quadrophenia.
Yeah, some in there. Band of Gypsies. I was very close to putting that on my list. I'm surprised. Redheaded Stranger, Willie Nelson might not be everyone's a cup of tea, but it's an incredible album. What If by the Dixie Dregs is a big one for me, and I think the rest have been said.
All right,
but I again was just shocked that no one said Boston. I think it just
I am shocked. All right, anybody else? Go ahead.
I was going to say Styx, Grand Illusion.
Yeah, I was going to. Yeah, that'd be one on my list.
And then ELO, A New World Record.
Yeah. David, you got anything else?
The Bang Box.
Yeah, I had a couple. Deep Purple, Burn. Todd Rundgren, Something Anything.
Oh my God! No one mentioned it. That's on my list, 100%.
Yeah, and then Elton John, Honky Chateau.
Good one.
Nice.
Grant, the Bang Box set is Rise Above Records, which is a great stoner metal label. Rise Above Records. That's
all right. I'll look for it. I was unaware of that.
I think I got about 10 years ago.
I'll be damned. See, things come out, slip right by. All right.
So, Grant,
Grant,
I've done this to you. I have done this to you once before, and I'm going to do it again.
Okay, please do it again.
What would be your just 2 or 3 best albums of the 70s?
Ted Nugent has to be there.
No, I'm just joking about Ted. April Weinhardt Faster, Scorpions, Animal Magnetism. I think I'd probably put Wings, Back to the Egg, Tom Petty and Heartbreakers, Damn the Torpedoes.
Yeah.
XTC, Drums and Wires.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there it is, right there.
How many were you up to?
Well, that's 5.
Okay. I could keep going. Did I already say Grand Illusion Sticks?
No.
Grand Illusion Sticks, Pieces of 8. I'm putting those on there.
Yeah.
Now, not all these records are considered critical successes, but, in my, from being
when they came out, I was
a kid, they changed my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say Pieces of 8 as well. Those were 2, Pieces of 8. That was definitely another good record. That I listened to a hell of a lot.
I know there's more. I don't think I'd put Quadrophenia now, but at the time I probably liked it. I liked The Who. I guess I got a little burned out, but Something Anything, 100%. Wizard of True Star would be on there.
Don't forget the chorus, Grant.
And I will say, Led Zeppelin 4. I mean, despite it being overplayed, when that came out, when I first got it, I just loved it.
Cheap Trick Heaven Tonight, In Color, any of the freaking Cheap Trick albums prior to 1970. Yeah, the Cars, Candy-O, the debut, those are definitely on there. I think that's probably 10. There you go. That would be it.
Don't forget Saturday Night Fever.
And well,
Yeah.
if we're looking for soundtracks, this is the best soundtrack of the 70s, 100%.
And Ted Nugent, State of Shock.
State of Shock too. Throw that in there.
Weekend Warriors for me.
Weekend. That's in the 80s.
Oh, that's in
No,
the 80s?
no, that's the live album. Yeah, you can list that.
I think Weekend Warriors is in the 70s too. Yeah.
78.
Yeah, 78.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of anything else. Nope, that should do it.
Cool.
I would have
Well,
went,
this
but
was
we had
fun.
such a big panel that you don't need me to chime in. All right, so I did it fast. All right, kids. Anybody else have anything to add since this went really long? All right. I want to thank the whole panel tonight. We've got Alex, we've got Meat, we've got David, we got Keith, we got the Elder, we got the Parish. Butch could not make it here tonight, but Butch is here in our hearts. Anyway, if you'd like to be on these panels, we'd like to have you. We have a Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel that way, we would love to have that. If that's a bit too much of a commitment, and it could be, but it's not. You could give us a donation, or you could give us, you could support us via, I can't remember
Kofi?
Kofi. We take that. Buy us a pint or a cup of coffee. We'd appreciate that. Anyway, we're just like talking music here on the Contrarians. We appreciate everybody. This panel was top notch. I'm going to get this show out pronto because this is the next show that I have to produce. So this is coming right out. I want to thank the panel. Please like, subscribe, at least do that. We will see everybody in the next one. So keep it clean, Rap the Rascal, and
Happy holidays.
happy holidays.